Tom wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked out over the dusty plains of the mining colony. The sun was setting, painting the sky with deep orange and purple colors. The small colony was far from Earth, on the edge of known space, but it was home for Tom. He was a young engineer who worked hard every day to keep the machines running and the people safe. Today had been another long day fixing the old mining robots. The machines were old and sometimes broke down in strange ways. Tom liked working with machines. They never asked questions or made him feel small. But tonight, something different was about to happen. As Tom was walking back to his small cabin, he noticed a strange light flickering near the rocky hills outside the colony. Curious, he grabbed his flashlight and a small toolkit and started walking toward the light. The closer he got, the more the light grew stronger, and he could see a strange shape half buried in the dirt. It was a spaceship, small, but not like any Tom had ever seen before. The metal was smooth and shiny, and it glowed faintly with a blue light. The ship looked badly damaged, like it had crashed hard. Tom's heart beat faster. He had heard stories of lost ships and alien travelers, but he had never seen one. Carefully, Tom moved closer. The ship's door was slightly open. Inside, he saw a figure lying on the floor. It was a young woman, but unlike anyone Tom had seen. Her skin was pale with a soft shimmer, and her eyes glowed blue even in the dark. Strange markings covered her arms and face, symbols that looked like they belonged to another world. Tom felt a mix of fear and curiosity. Who was she? Was she hurt? He stepped inside slowly and gently called out, "Are you okay? Can you hear me?" The woman's eyes fluttered open. She looked at Tom with surprise but no fear. Her voice was soft and calm. "Please, help me." Tom nodded quickly. "Don't worry. I'm here to help." He carefully lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected. Tom carried her back to the colony, his mind racing with questions. Back at the small medical bay, the colony's doctor looked at the woman with surprise. "She's not human," the doctor said quietly. "I've never seen anyone like her before." The woman's name was Nara, but she did not say much more. She was weak and needed time to rest. Tom stayed by her side, watching her breathe and hoping she would be okay. Over the next few days, Nara slowly grew stronger. Tom spent many hours talking to her, learning about her strange world. She told him that she was a princess from a distant planet, far beyond the stars known to humans. Her home was a beautiful place with tall blue trees and skies full of two suns. But her story was sad. Her planet was taken over by a cruel warlord who wanted all the power for himself. Nara had escaped to save her life and find help to take back her home. She said she hoped humans could help her because her people did not have the strength to fight alone. Tom listened carefully. He wanted to believe her, but it was hard. How could one human help an alien princess fight a powerful enemy? Still, he felt a strange connection to Nara. Something about her hope and courage touched him deeply. One evening, Tom showed Nara the stars from the colony's roof. "Look," he said, pointing at the sky. "Out there, there are billions of worlds. Maybe there's a way to make things right." Nara smiled faintly. "I wish you were mine, but I am alone." Tom looked at her, surprised by her words. "What do you mean?" She looked into his eyes, her glowing blue eyes full of hope and sadness. "Now I am." Tom's heart skipped a beat. He did not fully understand what she meant, but he knew their story was just beginning. Outside, the stars shone bright, silent witnesses to the new friendship, one that could change the future for both humans and aliens. Tom and Nara were strangers from different worlds, but together, they might become something greater than either had ever dreamed. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the windows of the small medical bay. Tom sat beside Nara, who was still resting on the soft bed. Though her body was weak, her mind seemed sharp and alert. Tom could tell she wanted to say more, but she was careful with her words. "Tell me about your planet," Tom asked gently. I want to understand. Nara's eyes brightened a little. My home is called Velora, she said. It is far from here, many light years beyond the stars humans know. The trees there grow tall and glow softly. The skies are always bright with two suns. My people live in peace, but that peace was stolen. Tom leaned forward. What happened? Nara took a deep breath. A man named Korvax. He was once a leader like my father, but he wanted power only for himself. He used dark machines and armies to take control. My family was captured, and I barely escaped. I had to leave everything behind, hoping to find help. Tom felt a chill. He could imagine how hard it must have been for her, a princess forced to run alone through space. Why come here? Why our colony? Because humans are strong and clever, Nara said softly. I heard stories of their courage and kindness. I hoped you would listen and help. Tom was quiet for a moment. You're asking a lot. We're just a small group out here. No soldiers, no army. Nara smiled sadly. Sometimes, even small things can be powerful. Over the next few days, Tom and Nara spent more time together. Tom showed her around the colony, the noisy machines, the simple homes, the gardens where they grew food in small patches. Nara was amazed by the human world. She laughed softly when she saw the funny habits people had, like how they ate and talked. In return, Nara taught Tom about Velora. She showed him images of her planet from a small glowing device. The pictures were breathtaking: blue forests, crystal rivers, and cities made of shining metal and light. She explained how her people used technology that worked with nature, not against it. Tom was fascinated. Your world sounds incredible. It is, Nara said. But it is in danger. One afternoon, while working on repairs to her ship, Nara told Tom more about Korvax and his war machines. He uses weapons that destroy the land and poison the air. My people do not have weapons like those. We believe in peace, not war. Tom frowned. That sounds terrible. It is, Nara said firmly. That is why I came here. I must find a way to stop him before he destroys everything I love. Tom felt a strong sense of duty rise inside him. He wasn't just helping a stranger anymore. He was helping someone who needed him and someone who believed in him. That night, Tom stayed late in his small workshop, studying the alien technology Nara had brought. It was different from anything he had seen. Smooth surfaces with strange symbols, glowing crystals that seemed to hold energy. He worked carefully, trying to understand how it all fit together. As he worked, Nara sat nearby, watching him with quiet hope. You are very skilled, Tom, she said softly. Tom smiled. I try. Maybe together, we can figure out a way to help your people. Nara looked at him with gratitude. You give me hope. The next morning, an alarm sounded across the colony. Tom rushed outside to see a group of miners gathered around a small screen. On it, a message appeared in sharp lines: an unidentified fleet is approaching. Tom's heart sank. Could it be Korvax? Nara nodded. He has found me. He wants to bring me back alive or dead. The colony leaders called a meeting. Many were scared and unsure what to do. Tom stood up and spoke. We may be small, but we are not helpless. With Nara's knowledge and our skills, we can protect our home. Some people nodded, inspired by Tom's words. Others looked worried. But the truth was clear, the threat was real, and they had to prepare. In the days that followed, Tom and Nara worked together to prepare the colony's defenses. Nara showed them how to use alien technology to strengthen shields and create energy barriers. Tom helped build traps and repair the mining robots, turning them into defenders. The colony was small and simple, but the people were determined. They trained day and night, ready to stand for their home and for Nara's cause. One evening, as the sun set again, Tom and Nara stood side by side, watching the stars. The weight of the coming battle was heavy in the air, but neither spoke of fear. Nara turned to Tom, her glowing eyes steady. "Thank you for believing in me." Tom smiled, feeling a new strength inside him. "We will face this together." And so, two strangers from different worlds prepared to fight for freedom, knowing that what they built together was more than just a team, it was the beginning of a new hope. The days grew shorter and colder on the mining colony as the threat from Korvax's fleet drew nearer. Tom and Nara spent every waking moment preparing. But as they worked side by side, something deeper began to grow between them, a bond of trust and friendship that neither had expected. Tom had always been careful with people. Growing up far from Earth, he had learned to rely mostly on himself. But Nara was different. She was brave, kind, and open in a way that made Tom feel safe. She trusted him with her story, her secrets, and her hope. And slowly, Tom found himself trusting her too. One afternoon, after a long day of repairing the colony's energy shields, Nara invited Tom to her small living space. It was simple but neat, with soft glowing lights that made the room feel warm. "I want to show you something," Nara said, pulling out a small device from her bag. It was shaped like a smooth, glowing crystal. Tom watched closely as Nara touched the crystal. A hologram appeared, showing a beautiful planet with towering blue trees and shimmering rivers. "This is Velora," she said softly. "It's where I come from." Tom's eyes widened. "It looks like a dream." "It was once a dream," Nara said sadly. "But now, it is a place of war and fear. My people suffer under Korvax's rule." Tom nodded slowly. "We have to stop him." Nara looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "I believe you can help me do that." For the first time, Tom felt the full weight of responsibility. He was not just a simple engineer, he was part of something much bigger. But instead of fear, he felt determination. "I'll do everything I can," he promised. Over the next few days, Tom taught Nara about human ways, how they fixed machines, built tools, and worked together as a community. Nara listened carefully, fascinated by the simple strength of human teamwork. In return, Nara shared more of her alien knowledge. She showed Tom how her people used energy crystals to power their technology, how they could control light and sound in ways humans could only dream of. One evening, while working late in the workshop, Tom accidentally dropped a small tool. It bounced on the floor, making a sharp noise. Nara smiled and reached out, using a soft light from her fingertips to catch the tool before it hit the ground. "It's about control," she explained. "With practice, you can learn to shape energy with your mind." Tom laughed. "Sounds like magic." Nara shook her head. "It is science, just different from what you know." Tom looked at her with respect. "I want to learn." As they trained together, Tom felt a new sense of purpose. Nara was teaching him not just to fight, but to understand, to see beyond fear and hate. One day, a group of miners came to Tom with worried faces. "We saw something in the sky," one said. "Ships." "Many ships." Tom's heart raced. He hurried to tell Nara. She nodded solemnly. "Korvax's fleet is close. We have little time." That night, the colony gathered to prepare. Tom stood beside Nara as she spoke to the people. Her voice was steady and strong, filled with hope. "We are different," she said. "But together, we are powerful. We will protect this home and I will fight for my people." The crowd cheered, their fear turning to courage. After the meeting, Tom and Nara stood outside under the stars. The air was cool and quiet. Nara looked at Tom, her glowing eyes soft. "Thank you for standing with me." Tom smiled. "I'm glad you trust me." She reached out and gently touched his hand. "Trust is the first step. Together, we will face what comes." Tom felt his heart warm. He had never imagined that meeting a stranger on a distant world would change his life. But now, he knew that whatever happened, they would face it together. As the night deepened, they stayed side by side, watching the stars ready to protect their home, their new friendship, and the future they hoped to build. The morning air was sharp and cold. The sun had barely risen, but already the colony was buzzing with activity. Tom moved quickly through the narrow streets, checking on the energy barriers they had built and the repairs to the mining robots turned defenders. Every person was doing their part, knowing the danger was near. Nara stood on a high platform, looking out toward the horizon. Her glowing blue eyes scanned the sky, searching for any sign of the approaching fleet. Her heart was heavy but determined. This was the moment she had feared, but also the moment she had prepared for. Suddenly, the colony's radar system beeped loudly a sharp warning. Tom's breath caught in his throat as he looked at the screen. Tiny blips appeared, moving fast toward the colony. "They're coming," Tom said quietly. Nara stepped forward. "Korvax's fleet. They want me back. And they will destroy anything in their way." The colony's leaders called an emergency meeting. The room was filled with worried faces, but also with resolve. Tom stood beside Nara, ready to support her. The leader of the colony, a tall man named Lars, spoke first. "We are outnumbered and outgunned. But we have the advantage of knowing our home and using our skills. We will not give up without a fight." Nara nodded. "I have technology from my world that can help. But we must be smart and work together." Tom added, "We have something Korvax doesn't understand: our will to protect what we love." The people nodded, inspired by Tom's words. Plans were made quickly. The colony's energy shields would be activated, the mining robots would defend the perimeter, and traps would be set near the rocky hills where the fleet would likely land. As the day went on, tension grew. Every sound made people jump. Children were kept inside, and families huddled together, hoping for safety. Tom worked tirelessly, fixing last-minute problems and helping wherever he could. Nara moved among the defenders, sharing advice and encouraging them. She was no longer just a stranger, she was their leader, their symbol of hope. As the sun began to set, the first ships appeared in the sky, dark, large, and fast. The fleet was bigger than anyone had imagined. Bright lights flashed from the enemy ships, preparing to attack. Tom stood beside Nara on the highest tower, watching the sky fill with ships. "They look powerful," Tom said, gripping the railing tightly. Nara's eyes glowed brighter. "But they do not know the strength of those who fight for home." The first wave of ships swooped down, firing energy beams that struck the colony's shields. The shields flickered but held strong. The mining robots moved forward, firing back with repurposed tools and weapons. The battle was fierce. Explosions lit up the sky, and the ground shook under the force of attacks. But the colony's defenders did not give up. They used every trick they knew, from hidden traps to surprise attacks. Tom found himself in the thick of the fight, helping to repair a damaged shield generator. Nara fought alongside the people, her glowing hands sending pulses of energy that disrupted enemy weapons. Despite the fear, Tom felt something new, a fierce pride in what they had built together. They were more than just miners and strangers. They were a team, united by hope and courage. During a brief pause in the battle, Tom caught his breath and looked at Nara. "We're holding them off, but for how long?" Nara's eyes were steady. "As long as we must." Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the tower. One of Korvax's ships broke through the outer defenses, landing near the colony. Soldiers began to pour out, moving fast and ready to capture Nara. Tom grabbed a nearby weapon and ran toward the landing site. Nara followed closely, her energy glowing stronger than ever. The two fought side by side, pushing back the invaders. Tom marveled at Nara's strength and skill. She moved with grace and power, inspiring everyone around her. But the enemy was relentless. More ships landed, and the battle grew even fiercer. At a critical moment, Nara faced one of Korvax's generals, a large, armored figure who was one of the warlord's fiercest fighters. "You will not stop us," the general growled. Nara looked at him without fear. "I fight for my people and for this home. You will not win." The two clashed in a dazzling fight of strength and energy. Nara's glowing hands met the general's heavy weapons. The battle was intense, but Nara's determination shone brighter. Back at the colony, Tom and the defenders rallied. They used every trick, every tool, and every ounce of courage to protect their home and their new friend. As night fell, the sky was filled with stars and the distant sounds of battle. The colony was battered, but still standing. Tom looked at Nara, her glowing eyes tired but unbroken. "We survived today." Nara nodded. "This is only the beginning. Korvax will not stop." Tom took a deep breath. "Neither will we." Together, they watched the stars, knowing that their fight was far from over. But also knowing that, together, they were stronger than any enemy. The dawn broke with a quiet calm that seemed almost impossible after the chaos of the night before. But Tom knew better. The war was far from over. Korvax's forces were strong, and their hunger for power was endless. The colony was damaged but still alive. People moved through the streets, repairing walls and comforting one another. Tom felt the weight of exhaustion settle in his bones, but he pushed it aside. There was no time to rest. Nara stood beside him, her blue eyes glowing softly as she looked toward the horizon. "Korvax will return," she said quietly. "He will bring everything he has." Tom nodded. "We need a plan, something no one expects." Nara smiled faintly. "Then we will use what they do not understand." Together, they gathered the colony's leaders and defenders in the main hall. Nara laid out her plan, using a hologram to show the enemy's weaknesses. "Korvax's machines rely on energy," she explained. "If we can disrupt their power source, we can stop the army before it reaches us." Tom added, "We can use the old tunnels beneath the colony. They are narrow and dangerous, but perfect for a surprise attack." The people listened carefully, hope growing in their eyes. They had fought hard, but now they had a chance to fight smart. Over the next hours, Tom, Nara, and a small team of brave volunteers prepared to enter the tunnels. The air was thick with tension, but also with determination. Everyone knew the risks. As they entered the dark tunnels, Nara's glowing hands lit the way. The walls were rough and close, making every step careful. Tom felt the fear rising but focused on the mission. Deep inside the tunnels, they found the energy source, a glowing crystal that pulsed with power. It was guarded by machines that hummed with danger. Nara moved forward, using her energy to create a shield around the group. Tom worked quickly, setting small charges to disrupt the crystal's power. Suddenly, alarms rang out. The machines had detected them. The tunnel filled with bright lights and the sound of heavy footsteps. "Prepare to fight!" Nara shouted. Tom and the others stood ready. The machines attacked, their sharp metal arms swinging and their glowing eyes searching for intruders. But Nara's energy shield held strong, and the defenders fought with everything they had. Tom dodged and moved carefully, striking at the machines with tools and makeshift weapons. The fight was fierce, but the team worked together, protecting each other. With the final explosion, the charges went off. The glowing crystal shattered, and the machines lost their power, falling silent. "We did it!" Tom shouted, breathless but victorious. Nara smiled, her eyes shining. "Now, the battle can be won." They returned to the colony just as Korvax's fleet appeared again in the sky. This time, the enemy's ships faltered, their weapons losing strength. The defenders took the opportunity to fight back with renewed courage. Tom and Nara led the charge, inspiring the people with their bravery. Korvax himself arrived, a towering figure clad in dark armor. He moved with power and menace, determined to crush any resistance. Nara stepped forward, facing him without fear. "This ends now," she said firmly. Korvax laughed. You are only one. I am many. The two clashed in a dazzling battle of energy and strength. Korvax's attacks were fierce, but Nara's hope and determination were stronger. With every strike, she reminded herself of her people and the future she wanted to build. Tom watched, heart pounding, ready to help. When Korvax's guard dropped for a moment, Tom used a device Nara had given him to send a powerful energy pulse. The pulse struck Korvax, weakening him. Seeing the chance, Nara gathered her strength and sent a final burst of light that knocked Korvax to the ground. The warlord's army faltered, losing power and hope. The defenders pressed their advantage, driving the enemy back. When the battle ended, the colony was quiet but alive. Korvax was defeated, his fleet scattered across the stars. The people cheered, celebrating their freedom and the courage that had saved them. Tom stood beside Nara, proud and tired. "We did it," he said softly. Nara looked at him, her eyes glowing with warmth. "Because of you." Tom smiled. "Because of us." The battle for freedom was won, but the journey was just beginning. Together, Tom and Nara knew they could face whatever the future held. The stars shone brightly above the colony, peaceful and calm after the fierce battle that had ended only days before. The sky was clear, and the air felt lighter. The people were busy rebuilding, their faces filled with hope and determination. Tom walked through the streets, helping where he could. He repaired broken machines, shared a smile with the children, and listened to the stories of those who had fought bravely. He felt a deep pride in what they had all achieved together. Nara stood nearby, watching the colony come back to life. Her glowing eyes reflected the light of the fires in the homes and the laughter of the people. Though the weight of her past still rested on her shoulders, she was filled with hope for the future. Tom approached her slowly. "How do you feel?" Nara smiled softly. "Like I have found a new home." Tom nodded. "You're part of this place now." The people had accepted Nara not just as a stranger or a princess from a distant world, but as one of their own. She had fought beside them, shared their hardships, and inspired them with her courage. The leaders gathered in the main hall to discuss the future. Lars, the colony's leader, spoke first. "Korvax's threat is over, but we cannot forget what we have learned. We must prepare for whatever comes next." Nara agreed. "We need to build connections between worlds, between people. Our strength is in unity." Tom looked around the room. He saw hope shining in everyone's eyes. "And we need to protect this home not just with weapons, but with trust." The leaders nodded. Plans were made to improve the colony's defenses, but also to welcome new visitors and share knowledge. Days turned into weeks. The colony grew stronger, not just in walls and machines, but in spirit. Tom and Nara worked closely, learning from each other and building something new together. One afternoon, as they repaired a communication device, Nara looked at Tom with curiosity. "Tell me about your dreams." Tom laughed softly. "I used to dream about the stars, wondering what was out there. Now I dream about this place, and the people I care about." Nara smiled. "I used to dream of Velora. But now, I dream of here." Their friendship deepened, built on shared hope and trust. The days of fear and war felt like distant memories. Then one evening, as the sun set in brilliant colors, Nara turned to Tom. "I have something important to say." Tom looked at her, heart beating faster. Nara took a deep breath. "When I first arrived, I told you about my wish that you would be mine. Not just as a friend, but something more." Tom's eyes widened, surprised but calm. "I did not know if you would feel the same," Nara continued. "But now, after everything, I know. I want to be with you not just as an ally, but as someone who cares." Tom reached out, gently taking her hand. "I feel the same. You have become part of my life in a way I never expected." They smiled, knowing that their bond was real and strong. As the colony's new life blossomed, Tom and Nara stood side by side, ready to face whatever the future held together. The colony was alive with celebration. The threat of Korvax was gone, and peace had settled over the land like a gentle breeze. People sang, danced, and shared stories around fires that lit up the night. Tom stood near the center of the gathering, watching the joy around him. He thought about how much had changed since the day Nara arrived, how a stranger had become his closest friend, and now, something much more. Nara joined him, her eyes glowing softly in the firelight. She smiled warmly. "The people have come so far," she said. Tom nodded. "They fought for this peace. And for each other." Nara looked at him with a quiet hope. "We did that together." The colony's leaders had invited Tom and Nara to speak at the celebration. When their turn came, Tom stepped forward first. He looked out at the crowd and said, "We faced great danger, but we never gave up. We stood together, fought together, and now we can build a future together." Nara followed, her voice clear and strong. "No matter where we come from, what matters is what we choose to be. We choose hope, courage, and friendship." The people cheered, their hearts full. As the night went on, Tom and Nara found a quiet moment away from the crowd. The stars above sparkled brightly, and the cool breeze whispered through the trees. Nara took Tom's hand gently. "There is something I want to show you." She led him to a small clearing where a strange, glowing plant grew. It was unlike anything Tom had seen, soft blue petals that shimmered in the moonlight. "This plant is from Velora," Nara explained. "It symbolizes new life and hope." Tom smiled. "It's beautiful." Nara nodded. "Like our friendship." Tom looked at her, his heart full. "And more than friendship." Nara's eyes glowed brighter. "Yes. I want us to build something new together." They stood quietly for a moment, feeling the peace around them. Suddenly, a soft sound came from the edge of the clearing. Tom and Nara turned to see a small group of children playing with a tiny robot. It moved awkwardly but happily, its lights blinking like a friendly smile. One of the children looked up and waved at Tom and Nara. "We want to learn from you," he shouted. Tom laughed, his worries melting away. "We'll teach you." Nara smiled. "And together, we will grow." The future was no longer uncertain. With hope in their hearts and friends by their side, Tom and Nara knew they could face anything. The galaxy was vast, and many challenges awaited. But here, on this small colony, they had found something precious: a home, a family, and a love that crossed stars. Hand in hand, Tom and Nara walked back toward the colony, ready to face the new day together. Because sometimes, the greatest strength comes not from power or weapons, but from the simple truth of being there for each other. And in that truth, they found their future.